life sometimes takes unexpected turns, like Lando Norris getting booed at the Mexican Grand Prix. At least it was unexpected for me. I was surprised, A, to see Lando Norris dominate that weekend completely, and B, to hear him getting booed on the podium and also before the podium as well. Literally, as soon as he got out of the car and, he was speaking to James Hinchcliffe, who was doing the post-race interviews for Formula One, I was really surprised to hear him get booed like that, and I'm wondering why. Has he done something this weekend? What has he said? What has he done? Is it just because he's been that good at the Mexican Grand Prix that it wasn't really a contest? Is that why they were booing? No, it can't be that. Verstappen's absolutely bossed that race for the most part over the last 7-8 years or so that's probably not it. And I've done some research on it. I've had a look at the reasons why this has happened, and after learning the reasons behind the booing, it's like, I can understand why. I get it, I don't agree in principle with athletes being booed on the podium like that, whether it is football, whether it is the Olympics, whether it is Formula One, right? You don't like to see it, but you can understand it. You don't condone it, but you get where the crowd is coming from. You get the anger towards them because Lando Norris, kind of brought it on himself a little bit, at least in part anyway. There's two really big reasons, and I think the second of these is probably the bigger one, but at the same time, it's like, well, the Mexicans definitely love sticking up for their homeboys, their own team at the end of the day, and they don't have a team in Formula One, they don't have a driver in Formula One right now, but they did have a driver in Formula One last year, Sergio Perez, of course, and Lando Norris made some questionable comments about Sergio Perez. I mean, listen, right, it's different for someone like Lando Norris to say this compared to a commentator like myself, right? I've got my opinions, I like sharing them. If you disagree with them, that's fine, no problem, right? No problem whatsoever, we can have these discussions. I like having these discussions in the comments. I like speaking about these subjects for you on videos. If I didn't, I'd really be in the wrong profession because I've done so many of them now already. And I've criticised Sergio Perez for not being the best in Formula One, right? He was clearly miles off it compared to his teammate Max Verstappen, but I have always maintained that he's a very talented driver, someone who can do an absolutely incredible job in a midfield car, and I think he'll do a brilliant job for Cadillac next season when he's back. But last season was rough for Sergio Perez. He had a lot of problems. There were calls for the guy to be sacked as soon as the summer break. But despite that, the unwavering support of the Mexican fans, that was always there. They were always loving him. But Lando Norris said something at the Qatar Grand Prix just a few rounds later in the season, hence why he wasn't booed or anything last season, because, he got second place last season at the Mexican Grand Prix, wasn't booed on the podium as far as I can remember. I cannot remember, and it definitely wasn't as audible. Definitely wasn't as audible as what we got this year. But what Lando Norris said at the Qatar Grand Prix last year, like I said, it very much rubbed the Mexican fans up the wrong way. He essentially suggested that Max Verstappen didn't have a teammate who could, quote, challenge him in any way, end quote. Which, given the difference in the points between the two of them, yeah, he wasn't really challenging him much in 2024, was he? So you can understand the sentiment, but you don't say these things in public about fellow professionals, especially when they're so down on their look like that. It's not really a classy look. But what a lot of people have been saying is the bigger reason as to why he ended up getting those boos at the end of the Mexican Grand Prix is the fact that a lot of people, and this is not just Mexican fans, trust me, there are fans who believe this around the world, even in the UK, trust me, there is a lot of animosity towards Lando Norris because of this. A lot of people are just thinking that McLaren are just handing the championship to Lando Norris. Of course, the papaya rules very much coming out in favour of Lando Norris overall. And again, I've said this several times in several videos, there's a very strong case to go along with that, absolutely. Just like there is a very strong case as well to say that Zak Brown prefers Lando Norris. He is very much McLaren's golden boy in the fact that he is, in some people's eyes, being gifted the World Championship, which I don't necessarily agree with overall. You still got to go out there and win the damn thing at the end of the day, but he's definitely had the rub of the green or the rub of the papaya, really, from McLaren when it comes to that. I don't think anybody should doubt that. That's pretty bloody clear at this point. What's Lando Norris had to say about it? Well, not really a lot, to be honest with you. He's essentially just said that the fans can do what they want. They pay their money to go to the race weekend, and they pay a lot of money, admittedly, of course, as well, and therefore they can do what they want within reason. when he was actually being interviewed as well by James Hinchcliffe, he was like, nah, I'm just going to ignore that, which must have been quite difficult, you know, when you got that much anger and noise coming at you. It is something that's very hard to kind of keep concentrating. It's something that's very hard to keep concentrated with, but there we go. He kind of brushed it off relatively, which is definitely wiser doing that than attacking the crowd back, because that was a battle that he was never going to win. And, you know, he might well have started a riot if that happened, which, again, you wouldn't want to see. It's a really vulnerable position at that point as well, because he's in the baseball stadium, so he's literally surrounded on all sides by him. So because of that and the thing he said about Sergio Perez last year, he got booed. Now, he's not the only person in Formula 1 history to get booed. I mean, Verstappen's been booed on the podium, Vettel's been booed on the podium, Hamilton's been booed on the podium. A lot of the multiple champions over the years have been booed on podiums. You know, it's pretty common to happen. I don't like it. I don't like to see it. But at the end of the day, the Mexican fans are absolutely incredible. They have so much passion, and you're going to see it. You see it with the Tifosi at Monza as well. It's not uncommon at all for anybody not wearing red overalls to be booed on the podium. It's just commonplace. Did like to see it? Not really, but you kind of understand why. But yeah, those are the main reasons why Lando Norris was booed at the end of the Mexican Grand Prix. Do you think it was fair enough, guys? Do you think it was a bit harsh? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below, as always, on this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.